So today we are kicking off this first interview with somebody who's very, very special to Doherty Creative. That's Jeffrey Brooks. And the reason Jeffrey Brooks is so special is because he's been my wife's manager for a number of years now, but he's also just become a dear, dear friend and a dear, dear friend in this business. Let me tell you a little bit about Jeffrey. He is the co-founder and CVO, hopefully we'll get into that, of the creative management firm Red Rock Entertainment in Los Angeles. Red Rock has been around for a little over 20 years. They represent a full range of creatives, including actors, dancers, chefs. Jeffrey has been in this business for over 30 years as an actor and a manager and so many different things. So we have a lot to learn from today's guest, Jeffrey Brooks. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you taking time out of your incredibly nutty schedule, and I know it's nutty, and pouring yourself a cup of coffee at this late hour. And
I need one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So welcome, man. Thank you for doing this and taking the time to be here. And what we are doing is looking at the life, the work, the experience of being a working actor and what that means, how we get there, pitfalls, how you got there, kind of why you left, what works, what doesn't. It's really, these are conversations about working actors and being a working actor. So you were at the top of our list of people to talk to, and we just wanted to kind of pick your brain and get your experience. So how did you fall in love with performance? I guess that's kind of, give us a little bit of who you are in a nutshell and how you found yourself in this business.
Yeah. First of all, thanks. I love you.
I love you.
I'm glad that we have this opportunity to chat. Most of all, because of your passion for the entertainment industry and as well as mine. I looked up at the guy that was playing Fagin and said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's a narrative that I repeat all the time because the way that he invoked his character and brought everything to life and everything that he did, I immediately gravitated to and wanted to know everything about how he was doing that process. And ironically, I represent him today. Which is hilarious. Yeah, his name is Wes Mann. He's a very well-known theater performer, as well as he's in a great movie called Back to the Future and a few others great films and lots of TV shows. But yeah, I have the full circle opportunity to have been able to represent him for the past couple of years, and it's been awesome, just completely awesome.
So your relationship with him goes back 40 years?
I'm 53, so yeah, I was, I don't remember, 7 or 8 or something, or 9 or whatever, when I first did my first play. So yeah, I was a kid, but yeah, that was it. He was in high school.
He was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How fun.
Yeah. It was awesome. And again, it's a great collaboration to work with someone, but part of the reason I'm in this industry is because I love making dreams come true for people on all levels. It's the most gratifying part of the job for me, is watching people achieve their goals.
The reality is that that's really true for you, is that you love to see other people achieve. And I think that's one of the things that I've seen as common among great managers or great agents or great business owners, is the idea of being of service to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've always been a helpful one. So I've always loved helping people. So I get to make a living out of doing it now. If I don't see the vision of where I feel I can take them, that roadmap, then I can't set the pillars in the ground to start that foundation and get it going correctly. So that's where I can pick up an actor that I have never worked with, or that has never worked in their life, or somebody that is already established. It's putting pillars in the ground so that we can keep moving forward. And you could plop any metaphor you want on that, but it is definitely a opportunity and a luxury that I get to have, that sometimes when I sit with people, I can see how I could help them achieve their dreams. And with that becomes my dreams, you know. I'm very much a person that loves to achieve goals. So if I'm setting those with someone, then I'm achieving everything that I've set out to do as well.
So, so when you say, when you're sitting opposite somebody and you're talking with them about, you know, possibly taking them on, for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
um, what is it when it comes to actors that makes you choose one person over another? I mean, I know there are a zillion variables, but
That's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. And it has to do with passion, commitment, where they're at in their life and in their business. And also, I have to see the lane. So again, I call it star quality because when it pops at me and I see where I can put you, if I see that vision, then I'm 100% invested in making you what you call a star. I'm just fortunate to have been in this industry long enough to know that that word is used in a way that doesn't really achieve the person sitting in front of me's goals. They think it does, but that's not it. So to deconstruct that and say, hey, I'm just out to achieve what your dream is. And we might need to stop here, 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 and here while we go. It's that trust then and that mutual trust that we have. There is a lot of people that do what I do. It's a lot of people. So it's about the connection, the relationship, and making it work together because it's the odds are against us and nothing's going to stand in our way of achieving what it is.
Mm,
So it's all perception, and we're all victim of it. We all wake up in a way that sometimes isn't as positive
sure,
as we need to be successful.
sure.
It's a key to success, man. You can be miserable, but you got to find your great moments of feeling successful, or you're never going to be successful.
I think it's really important that we have those moments of, yay, you know?
Yeah. And I'm victim of it. I'll be honest. I mean, again, this is just, you know, you and me chatting, and I don't raise my hands up in victory and pat myself on the back enough. Um, I don't walk into my office and look at what's great.
Mm,
I walk in my office and look at what I got to go do to keep things great, you know. So it's funny how we get in that pattern no matter what. But I've been lucky. I get people around me that are like same as I do for you,
yeah,
or I do for Ashley, where you look at the little stuff and you're like, come on, man, look at what you've done. Look at, you know, sometimes just getting where you think you might be going one step further is a gigantic victory.
right.
So
What do you think, some of the misconceptions are about being a working actor? Um, I mean, there's there's so many ways of going into that, and so many misconceptions, I think. Uh,
sure.
but what do you see as huge hurdles that working actors need to be aware of, and that we need to guard ourselves against? Or
Yeah. I mean, I used to look at the whole statement of it's not a sprint, it's a marathon as I have no idea what you mean.
mm,
I didn't understand that concept when I was a kid. It made no sense to me. I was like, go, 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 you know, and I'd get tired, burn out, and try to figure it out. But the one thing you got to realize is that it is the long game that's going to end up winning, and especially in this town.
yeah,
Um, I know people that are friends of mine in the industry that I work day jobs with that are people that uh, actors or other people dream of meeting, casting directors, executives, different people that we both suffered, or as we got put up with those other day jobs together. So we have a camaraderie now that is like, we went through that and look at where we're at now. But
right,
that's years. That's a 20-year relationship. So
right,
to pick up the phone, be logical and explain and not needy, right? To say, hey, I've got somebody you need to see. That respect is like, hey, you know where I came from. I know where you came from. This sounds great. You got an extra little opportunity that probably the 15 to 50 other people that were before you calling me aren't going to get. You know what I mean? So and that happens. And it depends on who it is.
I think you make a great point in that, this really is a relationship, a business of relationships.
Absolutely. I put your wife into a David Fincher pilot based on a relationship that I had for years.
That's right.
So if you want to talk about success, there's one that's right, right next to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think so many people get this idea that like, it's just business, kid. No, it's not just business. It is
No,
relationships. It's
it's all relationships.
yeah.
Casting directors want to see your work. They want you to be the solution in the room. There is no doubt about it. You need to come in and be the solution in the room. It's a fact. But also they want to see your work. They want to hear about you. That's about the extent of the day. And
Mhm.
that's all that there's time for. Just like somebody else doesn't have more time, they're busy. So get in, get out, get it done, knock it out of the park, bring the work in the room.
Yeah,
I know you're a big advocate of the work.
absolutely.
That's a huge plus to why we get along, is we love the craft.
Yeah.
I still love the craft of acting. I think it's incredible when done right, when taught right. It's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's important. But get in, do your work, say hello, be available, listen, and if you're done, leave. If
Don't-
they want you, they will chase you down the hallway and bring you back in.
That happened to me quite
You bet.
literally. I was
Yeah.
I was working as a handyman for a woman in Beverly Hills, and I got called to go in for this Mel Gibson movie, Vietnam movie audition, and it was on my birthday. And I thought, there's no way in hell I'm going to get a job with Mel Gibson. So I
Mhm.
went in, I stood there, I did very little. I didn't work hard at all. And I was like, great, thanks. I got to go fix this toilet. I turned around, I walked out to my truck outside on Ventura Boulevard, and they literally came out, Josh, wait a minute. Can you come back in? I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Can you do that again? Great. 2 weeks later, I was on my way to Fort Benning, Georgia, and going through basic training with a bunch of knuckleheads, and we were shooting. We were soldiers.
Yeah.
It really is true how they
Dude, yeah,
chase you out the door.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's when you did your work, and whether you think you did or not, part of, probably from a craft point of view, is you actually let go. What you think you didn't do, you did more of.
Right.
That's the key to this. You have to, again, I'm an advocate of rehearse what you don't know and perform what you do know. When you walk in and you pick up the paper and you're ready to go to work and you're ready to audition, you got to stop working. It's time to perform. And that is when you have to be done. You cannot say and work in progress. You
Right.
can self-analyze your performance when you're done. Did I hit my objective? Was my character strong enough? Did I find levels of what I needed to hit? Was I connecting with the reader? You could do all that, right, as you leave the room. But you have to do the work and then let it all go.
Mm.
You have to. And that's where you're going to deliver your best performances. And any great actor that has studied the craft always says their best work is when they're able to listen. And listening is key and is the most important part of acting. And nobody can disagree with me. Someone else could say there's something as important, but
Right.
there is no greater importance than being a great listener as an actor. And that's the bottom line. So being done and being available is key.
I think a lot of people confuse the notion of doing the work and then bringing the work into the room and doing the work in the room. And then you just see an actor who's working his or her ass off, rather than an actor who's settled into it and is just having an emotional exchange with somebody else.
But wait, what are the greats that you want to look at of any other art form? Again, art is everywhere,
Right.
right? It's everywhere. But tell me what other great artists that you see that isn't effortless at what they do. I
Right.
met Keith Haring in a park, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And he's like, hey, and I'm like, can I get an autograph? And he's like, yeah. And he sketches this little thing and signs his name and hands it over as if you could do that every day. And I'm like, no, you can't. You know, look at us watch the greats in basketball. When you watch a LeBron James, you see him on the court. There's a lot of other people there, but you see him. And he is already done the work. He's now in the game, focusing on the game and going forward and doing that. And that's we could go through every sport, we could go through every art, we could go through everything your mother or father does for a living. Our effortlessness is where we are at our best.
Yeah.
And if we can work hard enough to achieve that comfortableness, it is when you see Kevin Kline cold read a book,
Yeah.
which is one of the most amazing things you've ever seen in your life. A man that can pick up Shakespeare and cold read it as if it's effortless.
Right.
And it's just, you see the greats do it. And that's because they have practiced over and over and over and over and over again. So it's effortless for them to achieve that goal.
It's why Tiger has that swing. He
Yeah.
steps to the ball and just kills it every time.
Any sport, any art, anything, the greats execute with a comfortability of being present and ready to use what they've worked on. And that's what an actor always forgets. It's the first thing actors forget is to train and get great and be good and to have your toolkit ready so you can speak to every director, because all the methods of acting that are out there, not every director wants to discuss those. So it's, how are you going to get where you got to go with the people that you're working with? So you better know how to do it in different ways. You can't just be stuck one way. You got to take notes. You have to be so available when you're done to be a sponge to effortlessly hear how to make an adjustment.
Right.
And if you haven't done your work and tried it 6 different ways, 5 different ways, you are never going to be able to make that adjustment in a room by a casting director, because you're going to feel stuck.
Right.
And what does that mean? Same thing we talk about. LeBron James gets the ball. He sees the path. He knows how to do it. He executes effortlessly. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you equate it to that, let's just go to all the greats. Judi Dench winning the Academy Award for 13 minutes on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Can I wash her feet, please? Right?
Yeah.
I love incredible actors. I love them all. It's something that I've loved my whole life. I don't believe that an actor should ever look at a scene. And I know I contradict my world a lot. But I think an actor should always look at character. So again, I should be able to put an actor that learns a scene into any scenario. They should be able to go to a Walmart and go shopping and be able to experience everybody and everything there as that character. So when it comes to scene work, I love that we're talking about all the other things that embrace what happens, but an actor's job is to suit up and show up and be available as that character for whatever comes their way. Again, as I've shared with you in the past, it's my highlighter issue. I think actors limit their learning by isolating their selfishness, by either highlighting their own lines, focusing on themselves and trying to execute that. And it's the same way when I look at an actor when it comes to the scene. We can break down a scene because that's the text and everything that needs to get done. But first and foremost, it's character.
Yeah.
And that's what, if you want to nail an audition, casting directors are looking for options, right? We've talked about this in the past also together. The casting directors are looking for options. They are not necessarily just looking for the right person. You don't hear some of the great casting directors go, got it. And everyone's like, you do? Okay, great. And that's the person. There's so many other things that have to be thought about and given. And their job is to make sure that there's options for all sorts of different reasons. So they have to bring a plethora of people to the table to really understand and let their bosses and everybody else do that. So they're going to do that for you, you know? And so when you walk in, the 2 things that are most important to a casting director, well, you need to be a good actor. The other one is definitely your character. They need to see who you're bringing to the table. Who is this character? How does this character walk, talk, eat, sleep, breathe in any scenario? And then 3, they want to look at, do you know how to achieve an objective? That's key to a casting director's success. Yeah, they really showed me what they wanted out of that character, what that character wanted out of that scene. They really wanted a date with that woman or that man. They really wanted that. They really wanted that money. They really needed, like, whatever it is, they knew what that objective was. Casting director loves a character that you've developed and you show them an objective, guaranteed, flat out, you're back in the room. 100%. And it may not be for that role, but you know as well as I know, you can be a great actor and not get a call back for that role, but you're forever making a friend in a relationship if you're great at what you do and you can achieve that.
That's right. It's so true. It's so true. Do you miss acting?
No, I never really was. I love the craft. I never liked the applause. It was not for me. As a matter of fact, I always defined it by the minute I was done with a play, the lights would go out, and I would rather leave. I did not want them to go back up for a curtain call or applause. I would much rather bow out of it. Even the greats that I performed with, we all love the craft. I love the craft. I was able to work with Marcel Marceau in a world that he taught me, Master Marceau, and a lot of people know who he is, and a lot of people don't. I still think that he is mine.
Yeah.
I don't think there is another. And he taught me so much. But one of the greatest things that he taught me was people will define you by the work. They will know you worked or not. It is how your definition of an artist is how hard you worked on your craft. I equate it to, and again, this is just the naivete sometimes of actors. A first chair on a violin, like a first chair violinist at a orchestra, does not just show up and call it in. They still rehearse. If you go to them and ask them, do you still rehearse? They will say, yes, I do.
Right.
They will look at you as if, how do you think I do this at the caliber of who I am if I don't practice? Like, they will look at you like you're crazy, because it's practice, 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 no matter where you're at. And any great artist will tell you that it's the hours put in to the craft that make the difference.
I remember hearing about Tiger, speaking of Tiger Woods, and how after tournaments, he would go back out to the range and hit 1,000 balls.
I saw it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it happen.
No way.
And he won. He won, and he went and practiced. Because I believe the same thing with Tiger that I believe in a lot of people, that just because somebody else gave you the achievement, did you hit your achievement? Did you hit the dream?
Did I ask you what separates the working actor from the non-working actor?
Well, work.
Obviously.
I know. So I believe, and again, this is something I've told people, you have to have a certain amount of ego involved in being an actor. And that means that you have to think of yourself first. And so you have to be able to selfishly attack that business model of being an actor. So again, like I said, distraction can't be involved in that. When your feet hit the floor, first thing when you wake up, you need to set out your goals and do that. And someone that is out to be the best or feels they are the best, right, is going to do that. There's a difference between an artificial ego and a true ego, meaning you can think all these great things about yourself, but you can really go, it doesn't take long to get to a coach or somebody else for them to say, hey, you might want to work on this, or this, and that may make you better. So I think it comes to a point though that you do have to think about yourself, and you gotta want it. Like, it's desire and passion. And what I mean by that is I hear a lot of people say, I really want it. I'm like, you don't want me with a checklist behind you of every single thing you put in front of your career. You do not want me there, because I will be like, nope, distraction, nope, distraction, nope, distraction. And healthy lifestyle, healthy balance in life, hard to achieve while you're starting a business. And as an actor, you're starting a business.
Yeah.
So hard to achieve both when you're starting a business, bottom line. And
So-
any business owner will tell you that.
So to go back to what you said a moment ago about attacking it,
Mm.
when you say attacking it, what does that mean?
Get up, go to work, figure your craft out, study, work out. As an actor, you got to work on your craft and your persona, your presence. And then you have to find balance so that you're comfortable in life to be able to accept the challenges that come your way, right? And that you can work on making none of them a distraction for what you truly want. You have to be kind to others in the process, is my philosophy, because you never know who you're meeting ever. So be careful. I will be the first one to tell you that. So when I say attack, I'm like, you got to go for it. And look, the 30 plus years I've lived in Los Angeles, I'm not saying that people haven't worked their ass off and not succeeded of what they wanted to go about. But I am saying that the ones that have succeeded, even the ones that got cheap success, the ones that sustained a career, worked. And I go back to people like Paris Hilton, who a lot of people judge. She's an entertainer, and I will be the first one to tell you how hard she works.
Really?
It's unbelievable. It would tire majority of people out. As much as it's the lap of luxury to be able to do things in a way that is different than others, right? Because that's what a certain dollar figure does. Bigger houses, different cars, different. You still got to have the wake up muscle, the go muscle, the turn on the personality muscle, the achieving muscle, the business model muscle, the being around people constantly muscle, late night flights, early mornings, late night club launches, perfume launches, catapult. To run that brand, there is nobody that can tell me she's not a hard worker.
Mm.
You may not believe in the tactics and the way she does things, and I don't know her personally, so I have no idea. But what I do know is that sustainability that she's had for as long as she has only proven me right. Because you can't just be there without showing up.
Right.
And she shows up. And I know people that don't have her career, that don't show up, and all they sit around and do is wish they had it. Work, man. You got to go after your dreams and work hard to achieve them. But it's not just like, well, I've taken that acting class.
Right.
I'm like, because again, being passionate about the craft, I'll challenge you. And I'm a manager. I manage clients today that don't even know really that I was ever an actor. And I'll challenge you on all the books I've read about methods of acting. I will challenge you about how many plays I've read, how many scripts I've read, how many hours I've put in, how I surrounded myself with people that were thriving way more than I ever could. And I fought to be around them. I waited by stage doors to ask actors that nobody knew. Some people knew, but they weren't popular. And I waited till they came out of the stage and said, hey, would you give me a private lesson? I will pay you. I love who you are and the work that you've done. Will you do that?
Really?
Yep.
How'd that work out?
People, phenomenal. Of course it worked out. What? They were like, of course I will. Young lad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll be glad to. And then there's also like understanding too, acting class. Like there was times when my buddies and I couldn't afford anything. And yet we then would have a dinner party. At that dinner party, we would all bring scenes prepared, and we would either critique ourselves or we would individually ask another person who we admired in the industry, could they come over for dinner and watch a group of us do some acting? Because we can't afford acting classes, but we can cook you a mean dinner. And we'd pitch in, we'd make dinner, we'd all perform for this person, and they would tell us, and I'll tell you, I can still say today that some of those people are heavy hitters again in this industry. They weren't then, but they're much bigger now, but they gave us their opinion. it's how hard do you want it, man? Where's your creative bone? Where are you going? You know?
I've always found that when I knock on doors, literally,
Yeah.
it changes everything. I think we've gotten so used to like, oh, let me send this person a DM. Let me send them an email. And it's like,
Hey,
when I first moved to LA and I needed to find a job, I went to Kinko's and printed off some resumes and I
yeah,
knocked on doors and I got one of the best jobs I've ever had.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, I'll give you some tidbits. Homework is key. As much as I didn't want to do it when I was a kid in school because I wasn't that good in school, I am adamant that you walk into a room, you know who's in that room. So if you're taking a meeting with a manager and agent, you better have done your homework to the length that it should alarm them just a little. You should know so much about them that it should make them a little scared. You don't have to let them know, but you should be prepared in case something happens, that you got the information about who you are sitting in front of, and you should know who they are and what they can specifically do for you, not a generalization of that, especially being a manager. A lot of people don't know what the difference between a manager and an agent is. So you need to, if you're sitting in front of a manager and all you're wanting is appointments as an actor, that may not be the right answer to sit in front of a manager with, because that's what an agent does.
What do you what's a sign of a good manager? Because there are so many knuckleheads out there who just go, I'm a manager. And
Yeah.
next week I'm gonna be the Queen of England. And it's like, okay, you say you're a manager, but what can you do for me? What to you makes a good manager?
So there's no formality behind it. That's a bottom line. There's a lot of agents that come off desks of agencies that become managers, that still just singularly work on being an agent, and that's the way they do it. And they're interested in producing or moving forward, so they've conducted themselves that way. And then there's other managers that are in a firm or a smaller manager that will take you on and help you build and look at all the things that you could do and suggest classes or work on headshots and develop and do all those things. But the key is you need to get someone that's going to hear you, be able to understand what path you're looking for, and then be able to get those relationships to make that happen. And I say it very carefully about go get those relationships, because I know lots of momagers that are incredible, because their sole mission was to take their kid and get them where they wanted their kid to go, or where their kid said they wanted to go. And they would talk to anybody and do anything and get to anything. And pretty soon they're sitting on a set, still meeting everybody, being a momager, as they call them. And I'm like, nice job, man. Look at you. Because they didn't come off a desk at ICM or have this or this. They had to learn the industry to do that. So my whole thing as a manager is someone that you should understand that you can communicate together, first of all, and then that you two can come up with a game plan and that you guys both can execute that. And you hope that they have relationships and that they've been doing it a while and all the great things that come with any business partner, right? But the main thing is, do they hear you? Do they help you? Are they getting you where you need to go? And that doesn't always also mean getting you a job. Sometimes that's something that happens later, or they can connect you with an agent that does great things and you have to move agents. Right. Safe place to come home as a manager sometimes, where you try other agents, and agents, it doesn't really work, so you try other things. Agents usually won't hold on to somebody as long as a manager will. That's why you hear people say in their awards, you've been with me for 20 years, you've known me for 15 years, you've been with me for 30 years, while they're holding their awards. And that's because a manager usually is committed to the long game and how they're going to be able to do it. Respectfully, an agent needs to take care of what needs to get done right away. They will help develop, and there's some incredible developmental agents out there that will nurture you and take you. But the main thing is, are they hearing you, and are you getting along, and are they responding to you? I hear more than anything about the people that just don't even get an email back, or communication is off. Well, that's not a good business partner.
Well, and I think you've really nailed it there, is that it's about finding a business partner. And I think
absolutely
so many actors kind of see the actor agent manager relationship as being a hierarchical thing, and that like, oh, I have to do with what my agent says. I have to do what my manager says. And I say, no, you have to remember that they are your sales department. You've got to keep them pumped up and excited. And you've got to, you work together
Yeah.
to achieve this goal, but you're not asking them permission to do this, that, or the other.
Your agent only makes 10% of your business partnership, by the way, too.
Right.
And your manager can make 15 to 20, depending on who they are, but
Right.
they're only making 15 to 20% based on how much you're making, man. So as a business partner relationship, there's not a lot of businesses you can enter and say, hey, would you like 10% of my business? I'm expecting you to get me where I got to go. Sorry. It's kind of a weird thing that an actor feels that they're there. It's like, yeah, you are your entire business.
That's right.
You're it. You want me to jump on board with you? I would be glad to join you, but you got to lead the way for a little bit and understand what that means. And I can guide you because of my experience, right, in the industry. I can help you of what I've seen, but you also have to have a vision as well. You got to do the work, and you got to do what everyone always says, 80%, 70%, all the percentage rates. You're still holding the bulk of that business partner relationship, which means you got to fund it. You got to get the headshots. You got to take the acting classes. You got to pay for all the online resources. This is your job.
How
it's a business.
As a manager, you've got your premier clients like Candace, and all the things that are going on with her. She's a very, very busy woman.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got your other, perhaps more developmental clients. How often are you in contact with those newer developmental clients?
I am the key to success for me is that I'm available.
That's it.
Bottom line. I'm available. You have to look at the way that you look at stuff. There's obviously priorities and different things that happen in life for everybody in any business, right? But when you're not at Candace's level or at the level of branding and everything else that she's at, that's a machine that's running in a way that still needs strategy, still needs creative input, still needs relationships, external. I'm in meetings all the time, meeting new people to help grow that business model bigger than it's ever been. And that's our goal together. Grow, 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 grow. Mm-hmm. The same is the amount of work that's happening sometimes with a newer actor or someone that we're breaking in a development way. I don't have to put in as much work because we're getting there. So there are certain things we need to do that they need to go do on their own for a while before they need me every single day. So you'll see how that works. And then, I'm one of the keys to success of working with a client that becomes successful is making sure that you grow with that client and they're growing with you. And so you always want to keep the lines of communication going. So that's a testament to having an incredible business partner, somebody that helps me and I help him. And then also we've invested in people. I surround myself with great people that do great things, and they're not always what I can do. I need to surround myself with people that don't do exactly what I do, and I can't do what they do. So I need them to do that. We've invested in that. So a lot, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment with my kid at the end of my bed, living there, waiting to get to the next level and to the next level, and in life and in business, strategizing our next moves. Even when I had opportunities to jump out of something, I was strategic in how I did it, treating them the same way I would, treating myself the same way I would a client. So it takes time to do it all. But when you're starting in this industry, it takes representation less time than it does once the machine is truly running. And as the person learns, if they get a co-star or they go to a bunch of auditions and the feedback is they're not ready yet, they're not going to be ready in 2 days.
Right.
I can't fix that in 2 days, right? I have to then go find them an acting coach, do stuff. So it's easy for me because I've been in this town long enough. I can send people to you. I can send people and say, hey, go see Josh. He's going to fix you, right? This is what you need right now because of this feedback. This will help you. Oh, great. Thanks. Move on.
Right.
Or anybody else in this town. And I'm very picky about who I send people to and why.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to advice, when people say, could you recommend an acting class? It is then me asking them 15 questions about their craft and where they're at before I start to find who is the perfect fit. And I'm just such a little stinker about like, there is no blanket statement other than college. Go to college if you want to learn to act. But past college,
Right.
you have to be very specific about who you're seeing, what you're seeing, and why you're seeing them. And you got to know. And for your students, they need to know why they're with you.
Yeah.
And I challenge them. As I met your wife in an acting class that I was teaching, my line to people and was to her is, what's wrong with you? And they're like, what do you mean what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong? What are we here to fix? Because we're in a class, we need to fix something. I need you to know as a student first how you feel about your craft. I don't know, I'm just here. Okay, well, we'll start with I don't know. Now I know how to work with you. So that's kind of that way of really understanding, but you got to be specific while you're spending time with someone. You really do.
Yeah.
It's important. And that goes for a coach, a manager, an agent. I'm an advocate. Surround yourself with the greats. If you want to do great things, surround yourself with people that are doing it greater than you do. And that's love, life, everything about it. You find who you're attracted to and why, and you stick with them until for some reason it's not working anymore. And then you challenge the other person with that statement. Hey, I don't feel it's working anymore. How do you feel? Not, I'm out of here. Like, what's going on with you? What's going on with me? You do that with agents, managers, producers, directors. Like, you got to keep these lines of communication honest and real.
I think a lot of actors know that they want to work. I think maybe this might be something that I suffered from was, yes, I know I want to work. I know that there's so many things that I want to do, not necessarily knowing one's type and therefore not knowing how to type into what it is you want to do. Like, what's your grand vision? Okay, well, maybe I'm not going to be James Bond, but maybe I could, you know what I mean? And I think very often a lot of actors are just like, I just want to be involved.
Yeah. You got to know who you are.
Yeah.
You have to know who you are. It's a fact.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line of life. And that's something that every actor should spend some time working on is who are you? Because that gives you your worth, right? You went back, I go back to the fact that you said, do you want to act anymore? And the truth is I just didn't like attention. Attention is not something that I seek. It is something that I can attain. It's something my whole life. If I walk into a room, I can own a room. It's just a fact. And it's something that the reason being is because I'm a service. I don't walk in self-seeking motives to own the room. I walk in, make myself available. And at that point, the availability is exactly what people want. Well, casting directors at a party don't want to hear your resume, right?
Right.
They'll figure it out. If they like you and who you are, whether they like the way you look, they'll like the way you smell, like what you had to say about dogs, whatever they did like about you, it is too accessible in this world to not, they are the best at finding you. When they get home from that party, they will Google you and figure you out.
Right. And
that's the way I look at it too. And I'm confident that if somebody wants me, they're gonna find me. That's just the bottom line. I'm very lucky that I was handed a gift a long time ago. I represent extremely talented people in what they do and how they do it. And they're all in different avenues, whether they're a chef, whether they're a dancer, whether they're an actress, whether they are a spokesperson, whatever they're doing, they're extremely, that's what I look for is how great are they at what they do, right? So when I walk in a room with my client, I already have done the work I've already let everybody know I don't need to oversell my client in the room. I let my client sell themselves. And that's key to it too, is you got to be confident to step back and let it die. Whenever you watch tennis, you know, coaches aren't allowed to coach the players while they're playing, but yet they're sitting right in the stands, right? And
Mhm.
it's the same way I do. And you know, all my clients know it. I also I don't fight, and this is just a confidence and a little bit of information for some of your actors out there. My clients and I have such a trusted relationship, and the ones that have stuck with me, and I've stuck with them, and through the years we've been together. Um, I don't need to babysit my client in fear of a manager stealing my client.
Mm.
I leave an open door. If you want to have a conversation about somebody else that's offered you representation, we will have it. And I will be honest with you in the fact of what my opinion is. And at that point, you can make an assessment. And there's a comfortability to that is just rings true. Um, you know, I got a client worked her tail off, one line at a time. That was it. Co-star, 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 co-star. She was like one line at a time, two lines, guest stars. I said one thing, that I felt the career should go one way, and the agent felt it should go another. And the client didn't know what to do. And so I said, I'll be here. Why don't you, because that was a great agent, they're really good at what they did. I said, why don't you go there and I'll be here and I'll stand by and wait for you until you know what that world's like. Because my problem is, if you take my side, you're going to put your head on your pillow and you're always going to wonder what would have happened. So why don't I stand back just a second, let you go have this relationship the way that this person wants it outside of me, and we'll see how it goes. One line at a time, one line at a time. She's on a series. She's represented by Red Rock Entertainment right now.
Nice.
And we have a strong, comfortable bond that is a real, true relationship, because I was honest, willing to take the risk on her, didn't beg her to stay and everything else. And now she's on a series and we're working together and we are giggling the whole way through this process about all the things. And it wasn't that the other agent did anything wrong. The other agent tried, but it just didn't work. And so finally, when I was like, can I get a shot? Can I get a shot again? She actually came to me and said, let's do it. And I said, I'm in. You promised. I'm like, I promised, I'm in. And she's sitting on a series right now with her name on the back of her chair, making a great living. And she is only thing she is today is a working actress, getting to play on a daily basis. One of the most talented individuals you will ever meet as well. Complete triple threat. She can sing anyone, is equal to any singer, as incredible as any dancer, and an actress that has shown depth and strength more than you'll ever know.
Wow.
And that's what I believed in. So I was willing to let it go to get it back.
Well, I love it. Shows an incredible amount of confidence, but it also shows an incredible amount of trust on your part to say, I believe in you so much, and I want you to know that I believe in you so much that I'm willing to say, go figure out what you need to figure out. I'm going to be right here. And when you come back, let's get back to it and let's do what we got to do. And that is,
I've said it to many. I've said
yeah,
it to others. She was just cool enough to actually take me up on it. I know that others were, you know, but again, we all have our reasons, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Both
right.
personally, professionally, there's lots of reasons why it just doesn't work. And that's okay. Again, there are 1,000 and thousands of people that do what I do.
Yeah.
1,000, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, but there aren't many Jeffrey Brookses, and that's a really important point.
Yeah, but I'm not singular. Don't forget, I got the best business partner in the world. There's nobody that has a better business partner than I do. So, and we run a really smart relationship where we pick up our strengths and our weaknesses. So again, my favorite part is I get to be I get to do the creative world of what this process is, and really invite myself and saturate myself into the narrative of story with somebody and really help walk them through what that is. And, you know, I get to be able to toss that once it's working, I get to toss all that business relationship of contracts and how we're doing it logistically, what businesses we're setting up, how we're doing it, how it's going. I get to toss that over to my business partner where he eloquently just structures it in a way that's bulletproof for that client to just grow and grow and grow and grow. And also, willing to understand what great lawyers are out there for him to be able to collaborate with to make things make sense. And the two of us are amazing with a third or fourth partner, depending on who we represent, to be able to do that. And that's the key to success that we found, again, for 20 years with my client that we have that has been with me that long. It's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. It's the three of us with a give and take, and at times not getting along, and at times getting along and knowing each other well enough to be able to make sure that we're getting done. But we all three wake up. That's the thing, we're all hard workers. We are all hard workers.
How do you get through those times when maybe you're not getting along? What is it that carries you through?
Grace, patience.
Hmm.
Always, I have a great philosophy, and that is to understand that my street is clean, right? I need to make sure that I've apologized. I've looked at it on my side. I know what I wanted or how I wanted it, see if I'm self-seeking and all the great things that I can do to clean up this portion of that. But then there's a secondary part of like truly hearing your heart and why you're upset and listen. And listening becomes the key of like, I need to hear you and write how I feel about you, right or wrong. I need to hear you and listen so that because we're usually always we're always wanting the same goal at the end of the day. So it's like, this is this is that, and it's there. But I also don't make catastrophic mistakes in the way that I don't lie to my clients. I've lost clients because I'm too honest. You know what I mean? They're like, that's not what they wanted out of the relationship. So, and with the strong relationships, like, I got bad news, man. I got bad news for you. I've got good news for you. I've got real news for you. Hey, the last 10 Instagram posts may not have been your brand. Maybe we should roll this and tighten this up a bit. You need to do this. You need to do that. Like I'll say the hard things. That doesn't sit with everybody.
Yeah.
But in a true business relationship, yeah. But we all you got to say it, and we got to be willing. And you know what else is the difference? No matter how close I get to any of my clients, no matter how close I get, no matter what our friendship is or anything, again, your wife will agree with this comment. When my phone rings, I answer as their manager. I answer with, hi, are you okay? What do you need? How can I help? I just called to say, hey, great. I'm allowed then for a moment to turn off the manager world and chat and talk.
Yeah.
But I suit up and show up for the opportunity to be of service to them. So that means I can't take that for granted. And I don't. One of my clients asked me, why does it work with you and I in friendship and business and it just doesn't with others? And I said, do you want the truth? And they're like, yeah. I said, I know my place. And I will always act my place as your business partner and manager first. And I'll be the best friend you've ever had past that. But I got to show up as your manager and business partner first. And that's why we're good at what we do. Because I can't show up and talk about all my problems and what I got going on and my this, my that, my that. If you've got business to do, you don't want that in your life.
Right.
You get that when we're done, streets clean, we're good, everything's set up. Let's go to work. We're done. Great. Hey, how are you? Tired. I'm busy. I had to listen to pitches about you all day. Everybody wanted to tell me how great you were all day. It's exhausting, right? I had to sell you to people that didn't want to listen. How's that? Because I've been doing that for a long time. All those great things. And that's what I love,
How'd you get your first agent?
Better story. First agent, I got a few of them that were a lot like the people you were talking about. Like I would show up, they would say, one of them took my dad and I out to dinner and told my dad that I was the next big thing and that I was going to be incredible, and basically couldn't get her on the phone the next day. Never couldn't find her. I'm
Who
like,
bought
what
dinner?
was that about? Yeah, she did.
Oh,
She
really?
paid for dinner. She set the whole thing up. Everything was there. And then literally I called her, and, and it didn't take long. Look, I've been around a long time. Didn't take long for me to understand, her doors aren't open anymore.
Mm.
And that makes sense, right? You kind of get through it. But I also I know now what I wasn't doing as an actor. And that's just a fair statement of how I help people like yourself for advice, or your wife or other people. Like, I know what I didn't do. So when I say they're not doing enough or they could do more, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what time did you get up? What let's just start with, what time did you get up? What time did you do this? Like, because I know I slept till 2, and then worked on my acting a little bit,
Right.
kind of paid attention in a class I took. There was times when I did all that also. So it's the first agent was not what I needed. I couldn't find a great agent, and I couldn't find a manager that would represent me. So the end long story is, I ended up business partnering with my best friend who was working on some music stuff. And he said, let me manage you. And I said, you don't know anybody. And he said, just introduce him to me and I'll figure it out. And I said, okay. But what happened is he was busy and I couldn't introduce him over the phone. So I ended up pretending I was him on the phone, calling people I knew that were working in casting, getting appointments, and then walking in the room and hearing how great my manager was. So there's some really great stories in that are too long to tell, but there were some really funny experiences of me pretending I was somebody else to manage myself. But I put myself on network television through that process.
Wow.
Got some credits, got my relationships, and I was doing what I thought I wanted. I also realized quickly that, and I know you've shared this also, a great co-star or a great guest star doesn't necessarily fill the actor world, because you show up and you work for a day and you're done. And that's not enough. That wasn't enough for the craftsman that I was.
Yeah.
I wanted to saturate and work and just live a lot longer within it. So there was an immediate identification that it just wasn't gratifying for me. And then on top of it, I didn't like attention. So I didn't like doing something and then going home and then having my family and everybody like, oh my gosh, can I have your autograph? Can I do this? And in my opinion, I was like, oh, like, I just didn't want it. And I still don't, unless I want it, I'll be the guy that walks in with my baseball hat down here, and I wear hats for a reason, because if I don't want it, I don't want it.
Well, and as we said when we first got on, you haven't done an interview in 10 years.
Correct. It's been, I don't remember when that was. It may have been 8, but yeah, I'm not in front of the camera kind of guy. That's not always. I love hiding back on a set, my client being interviewed on Good Morning America or at Entertainment Tonight or on a red carpet, and I'm far behind, and all I get from them is a nice little wink and a smile. That's it.
That feels good, doesn't it?
I like to be the one outside when they say, and they know to come get me after the wolves of the industry have tried to represent them and claw at them and do things. They know I'm close by, and they know, they just have to look and they're like, oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. So it's the biggest gratifying experience to do it with people. As Ford and I've learned, it's about doing it with others that we love the most.
And yet it's so funny you're wearing a lone wolf hat.
I know. Times you gotta be that guy.
Yeah. What's the worst advice you ever got?
Quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, quitting is definable. So if you're not getting an opportunity to act in Los Angeles and I say leave town, I'm not saying quit being an actor. You're talking to the wrong guy. When I was acting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. When I was acting in Northern California. When I was acting in Oregon. When I was acting in different locations. It wasn't New York City or Los Angeles.
Mhm.
You know, there. If you want to be an actor, go be an actor. Go do whatever. Do community theater.
Yeah.
I did children's theater, but that was with kids, for kids, and I would play roles that I knew I would never get because I loved it. And I loved to be around people that soaked up the energy and did it. And it was awesome. I loved every bit of it. Every bit of it was satisfying for me because I got to go be an actor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the fun part. Plus, they had a 3-month. It's totally makes sense for me. A 3-month rehearsal process, and they only did 4 performances. So it's exactly how it fit my my love of the craft very well.
Oh yeah, that's Taylor.
Yeah, I wasn't on tour for 4 years in a truck and trailer show in the
Oh.
latter part of my decision making. Like when I figured it out, I figured it out. So.
What's the best advice you ever got?
Be kind.
Hmm.
Kindness will win every time. Nice guy finishes last. It's true. Says the gray bearded guy.
But
my father said, always be a gentleman and always smile. It'll get you further than anything in life. That's great advice. You got to live life to be a better actor. So it just depends what you're asking. From a business standpoint, discipline is freedom. You know, I had to show up early today because we have someone that's no longer with us at our company anymore. And that departure was sad, lonely, all the feelings, but also the people that were stepping into the position haven't been doing it for 6 years. So I had to step into old shoes and I had to show up early, and it's 8:30 at night and I'm doing this with you.
right.
So yeah,
Well,
that explains it probably, right?
well, are you down for a couple more questions and then we can let you
Yeah,
get?
yeah, yeah. Please don't take that as anything except the
No, no.
recognition that I believe in hard work and discipline, you know. I
Yeah.
also do the same thing. I focus. You ask my kid, she'll say I work a lot, but she knows me and I know her, and we get along and we do it together. And she comes to the office more than anyone else. She's always here. You know, my wife understands what I love and what my passion is and supports it. We take vacations. You know, my motto, if you follow me on Instagram, it's work hard, play hard constantly,
Yeah.
because I want to do what I can do. You know, my wife and I chase solar eclipses all around the world. You can't do that if you don't have a job. So
Yeah, that gets expensive.
I go and work hard and play hard because I love it. So
Well, and you got to keep that Pinto that you drive up and running. You know, that's important. I mean, that 77 Pinto of yours. What? Don't worry, we'll edit that out. What do you think about the up and coming actor worrying about their brand?
it's important. Like it's important. And you and I have had offline conversations about this before.
Yeah.
I believe you have to do both. So you have to think about who you want to be in life as an artist. And through that process, because of social media, you have to be able to introduce the world to who you are. And as you grow your business and your business model, you need to be able to prove to people who you are. So again, it's any business that's starting, and it's awesome that actors nowadays have an opportunity to be able to talk about their brand prior to getting work and as a professional, because that's the marketing campaign that happens about people that start businesses with a widget. A widget starts, and that widget then is talked about, screamed about. Everyone has to say, this is filling a void, this is fixing something, this is what you need, you have to have it. That's the same thing. And look at what actors get to do now. When I was younger, remember I told you about the envelopes under the door and the off hours and everything. I tried clear envelopes, so my face was right there. I tried every single thing. I would decorate it. I did everything. Did everything but put money in it, and I may have. But I didn't get to sit and create a business model and have my own advertising company at my fingertips on a daily basis, marketing materials and advertising and everything. So in my opinion, run it unilaterally, study the craft, be the best actor you can possibly be, and talk about the potential of the work that you want to do, show the work you can do, be involved, admire, show your passion for your job. Like, go, man, go.
Mm.
That's the fun of social media. Go tell the world who you are. Just be who you say you are,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
People sit in front of me sometimes and they say, I'm going to win an Academy Award someday. I'm like, great. Let's talk about everything you're going to do in the meantime, because you're just starting out. So I want to know what you're going to do in the meantime.
Right.
Those are the people I want to follow on Instagram. People that are waking up telling me that they worked out, people that inspire me, that they're taking classes, how much fun they had at their class, what they did, what they found out about themselves, good and bad, how their growth is. They're talking about their brand. They're talking about other relationships, other people, associates, all the other things that go along with a business, how great they are, right? I studied with this guy. He taught me this. We moved mountains today with my craft. This is what happened. Can you believe this took place? Your wife and I have a friend that, well, she's not my friend. I just love her hard work. And she wanted to be a cirque performer. And she ended up on social media prior to really achieving those goals. And what did she do for probably 2 years is she worked her butt off and showed me on social media how hard she was working on rings and then swinging from chandeliers and doing all these things. And then finally, after years of hard work, discipline, proving all this to me, she got the job. And I probably did cry. And I had met her twice.
Wow.
But social media took me on her story, her journey, her scars, her scrapes, her bruises that she was putting into this dream that she had.
Mm.
And I was on it. And the day she talked about getting the opportunity, literally, I was sobbing. And she'd never met me, like twice.
Every actor is terrified of dropping the ball, showing up on set, dropping the ball in some form or fashion. And some of us are fortunate enough to actually get to drop the ball and to actually get to make the mistake. When was a time that you dropped the ball, and what was the lesson you learned?
Yeah, pretty simple. I was working on a set of Friends. I was a dialogue coach and helping read lines with the actors when the main actors couldn't be there. And as I was reading with Susan Sarandon, probably one of my favorite actresses ever. I mean, the jaw dropping, trying to keep it cool to go to work with someone was definitely happening.
Yeah.
But I knew my job. Again, I want to reiterate to everybody, like, when I was a waiter, I was a waiter, and I was a damn good waiter. And when I was a paper boy, I was a great paper boy. And when it didn't mean I didn't make mistakes. I really knew what I was doing. When I'm asked to be in a room, I know who I am in the room. And that's important. So even then, like, it wasn't for me to fawn over, make excuses, do anything. It was for me to be present at that time for her and get what she needed done. And I did, and I was doing it. But I kept looking at my clock. I'd scheduled myself an audition for it was a Lifetime series, and it was for a series regular. And I had gotten this opportunity to myself, pretending I was someone else. And I had to go in and do the thing. A casting director that I had read for before. When I went in I finally said to Susan, I'm like, hey, I have an audition. I got to go. Like, last minute I possibly could. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. You've just been such a tremendous help. And I was having fun. I just wanted to keep doing it. And I said, I get it. It's awesome. She said, oh, please, please, please go. And so I'm running out the door. And as I'm running, Lisa Kudrow said, and she's like, good luck. And then Lisa Kudrow's like, Jeffrey, where are you going? And I'm like, I have to go to an audition. She's like, okay, good luck. Right. All these people. So as I roll into the audition, I fly in the room. And as I roll in the room, I look around the room and there's 8 people in the room and the casting director. I was a bad manager for myself because I didn't ask who else was going to be in the room. I just assumed it was just the casting director and I. It was straight to callbacks. So the entire producers and writers, everybody's in the room. And I'm sitting there staring at it. And then she's like, let's read. I'm like, oh, okay. And I literally could tell you more of what everyone was wearing, what their hairstyles were, what they looked like, because I just didn't prepare before I went in that room properly. I was rushing. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't give myself any time. I'd worked on my sides, but I was nowhere near to lock it in. I did the scene. We finished. Casting director followed me out. She's like, are you okay? You seemed a bit off today. And I said, yeah. I said, I didn't expect all those people in the room. And she said, well, I should have let you know. I said, not the point, blah, blah, blah. And I go back to set. And of course I got to walk in and Lisa Kudrow's like, hey, how did it go? And I'm like, I tanked. I wasn't prepared enough. I didn't do well. I just screwed it all up. And she's like, yeah, that happens. And I was like, okay. She goes, work harder, be better, and left. And then Susan Sarandon shows up. She's like, how did it go? And I'm like, I blew it. And I was still just devastated from the experience alone. And I was like going into the story. I'm like, I didn't know what was happening. I could tell you everything was happening in the room. She's like, yeah, that's how we learn. I had a few like that too. And I was like, you know what? We're all going to do it in some fashion of making mistakes and do that. But I don't let my actors go in a room without knowing who's in a room. I work my ass off to make sure that that happens. I make sure that my actors are prepared to go in a room for the casting director's purpose so that no one chases them out the door and says, hey, are you okay personally? Because of how off they were. I ask sometimes, hey, can we schedule a different day? My actor's not feeling well, having a bad day, whatever. No, great. Just understand that they're not on their game today. I want you to know that. It's okay. That's okay. At least I know. Thank you. Good. Great. Can we redo it? She felt she didn't do well in the room. She got distracted with the dog. I know it's your favorite dog, but she just didn't know the dog was in there and she just got bit by a dog yesterday. Can I have her come in and redo it? It's okay if the dog's there, but she just wouldn't know this time. Absolutely. You got to make sure that everyone's taken care of. And that's all from that experience of Susan and Lisa saying it happens. Let's suit up and show up and do your work and just keep going, keep going.
We're excited to bring this to everybody, and we're thrilled that you could be our first. And
yeah, I'm excited about the Atlanta market. I think you guys are I think that there's a great advantage of being local, of all the work that's being done there. And I think that once the industry starts to recognize that there's true hardcore, hardworking talent there, and that they start to recognize that they don't have to go anywhere else to get what they need, I guarantee you they're going to be looking down the street for who they need. It's just going to take a minute to make sure that everybody that's there that is auditioning and suiting up and showing up is an incredible craftsman.
Yeah, that's
the bottom line.
That's exactly
so
right.
It's just a matter of time, man.
Yeah.
Happy.
Well, we are certainly thrilled to be here and loving settling in. One last question for you. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over. Always.